Hello.
Hi. Hello. Wow, I'm sharing in stories now that I have the link. Go.
Wonderful.
Cute. Wow.
Hi, Jess.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, just said hello. I just have the stream open on my phone so I can read the chat. I guess so. I don't know why, but it does that.
I am here. I am here.
Nanda.
Okay.
Nanda. Feels like it's been a while since I've been at Polyglot Talk. Yeah, no, we have like.
Yeah,
Did we skip?
it's
No,
been a
did
while
we miss
since we
November by like? Did we miss
we
November?
did.
Yeah, we did.
No, we missed November.
Right.
Oh, I missed November.
Right. Got
him. Oh my god. No.
I can't believe it's already the 11th. You remember when you were a kid and like December would just like take ages because you were always just excited for Christmas? So I guess now I'm just bitter and old, so I don't care, and time is just running away from me.
Oh yes, nobody could hear my voice, by the way. You guys could, but nobody on the stream could hear. So we will cut the beginning. So, but it's okay.
Anna.
I'm sorry. It's
okay.
It's weird because I need to take a look at different windows when I'm streaming.
Yeah.
So it's yep. Now you can hear me. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. It feels like it's been a while. Just BB, we missed you. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. But also I feel since now I think Elmo and Ray are not streaming as much, is a little bit. I miss them too.
Yes, true. No, we.
Yeah.
Just.
I know. I have to. I don't know. I just keep getting stressed.
Yeah, no,
and
I get
it's
it.
stupid because it's. I know I should be streaming first for me, and then like secondarily, just building the vibe, you know. But I always think like, oh, I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I'm like, no,
yep.
Just.
I know, right? No, I get it.
Hi, Ronald. Welcome. Yeah, and like I don't know. I've had like the worst couple of weeks where I've like, I don't know. I've just been at the bottom of like a cesspool or something, just floating around. That's what it feels like. So.
By the way, Ronald, hello. Long time no see, because Ronald was one of my students actually, from Florida too. So, hi. How have you been?
Florida man represent.
Yes, Ray's in Florida right now.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I am updating Instagram stories.
Yeah, Jess is also wondering where you are at the moment, Ray.
Yes, Florida. I'm in where in Florida? I'm in Port St. Lucie, a little bit north of. I mean, it's on the southeast end still, but like a little north of West Palm Beach, and yeah, I'm chilling. I'm actually going to Jamaica on Tuesday. For the Christmas, I'll be there for a little less than a month. My dad installed new Wi-Fi, so hopefully things will
Wow.
be still a little easier. Yeah, seems so. Either way, my grandmother seems to have better internet too. I don't know. I think my dad's house is just crosses.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. Who
By the way,
knows?
yeah. By the way, me and Elmo both went to that house where Ray is at the moment. We were streaming
Yeah.
from there at one point, so maybe you saw it before.
Yes.
Also, hi Violin Fire. That's I'm sure that's Hadia, right? It's you?
Yes, that's that's
Hadia,
Hadia.
hello.
Hello.
Hi, long time no see.
Long
Hope
time
you're
no see.
okay.
Oh my goodness. And also Edu-chan, which is my friend, the developer of Geotastic. I don't know if you guys have ever played
We love it.
Geotastic, but
Yes,
Yes,
of
I do
course.
know
Yes.
about Geotastic, of course.
So welcome. And yes, still trying to maintain my Italian. We should do a Polyglots talk in different languages sometimes, I feel like.
Oh.
But you guys
Yeah,
need to learn
that's
Italian to do the Italian one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. Okay. Yeah, no, we will do it in the future. We can do a Japanese one for sure. And also, Ronald says, what do you
Yes.
all think about learning 2 languages at once? Well, we can answer
feel like-
quickly. Yeah, tell
Yeah.
me, Elmo baby, what do you think?
I was gonna say it depends a little bit about sort of your personal preference, where some people really can't manage 2 languages at once. But even if it's something you're comfortable with, it's very important that you don't have 2 languages at like the same level, especially if they're both beginner level. So you need to find like a good balance between, like if you have one where you're sort of advanced, then you can sort of maintain it sort of more passively, where you have one that is like needs more hands-on focus, then I think that's a good balance if you feel like you want to do 2 at once. But even if you can also just like technically study 2 languages at once, where you have certain periods of time where you split your time equally between certain languages, like okay, 1 month I'm doing Italian and next I'm doing Japanese or whatever
Yeah.
your target languages.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the most important thing here is not actually whether or not you choose to learn more than 1 language at the same time. The important part becomes managing your expectations so that you don't get disappointed later, that you don't see specific improvements. Because if you decide to study more than 1 language, it's natural that your focus is divided as well, right? So if you have a lot of time, maybe you can make good progress in more than 1, in 2, or even in 3. But there is definitely something about compound focus as well. So like if you focus on one thing one day, and then the second day, and then the third day, and then the fourth day in a row, then there's also compound effects. So no matter what, if you're breaking up your focus, you're gonna get slightly more broken up results as well. Not that you can't get good results, you just have to be managing your expectations so that you don't go, oh, I've been studying 3 languages and I've only increased this much, you know. So something personally, what I do is I make sure to have 1 language as a main over at least 3 months, so that I can see that 3 months compound into results, and then I can switch and I keep the other ones and I study them at a much lesser capacity. So I don't completely let them drop off the world, but I prioritize a certain amount of time so that I can see certain kinds of improvement, you know. But it's really up to what you want to do, as long as you're not gonna get upset at yourself for something that you didn't choose to do in the beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly like
Yes, I just updated like 5 different Instagram accounts.
Good job. So I'm thinking, in my opinion, like the hardest thing to do is to begin 2 languages from 0 at the same time. So especially if you're a beginner, the amount of time, the amount of time and like things you have to do at the beginning is very, very, it's a lot. So it's hard to maintain the same amount of concentration and constance and everything with 2 languages. So I would probably recommend that you don't do that. But if it's like kind of like intermediate level and beginner level, like Elmo said, you can pull it off. I don't see why not. It depends on how much time you have, etc. Let's see. Now that we
Yeah,
have,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because
Yep.
no, I just wanted to say that obviously you still need to put as much effort and time into each language. It doesn't minimize or increase like even if you're studying two at the same time, you just need to sort of find that time and realize, like Ray said, manage your
Languages
expectations.
in micro.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Jess actually mentioned right here that she said, I'm always learning two languages at once, but I always combine one advanced language with one beginner, which is something I like to do too. And she said, or languages that are so different, like Spanish and Mandarin. Yeah, as long as, I mean, yeah, that's true. Even if they're very, very different, sometimes that allows you to completely separate the progress. So if you have that time, then it functions too. So definitely, there are variables.
Sure. Yes. Okay, so we have some people here now. Do we want to introduce and say the introduction thing and start? What do you think, Ray?
Yes. Yes, so hello everyone. Welcome to Polyglot Talk. We do Polyglots Talk once a month, usually on the first or second Saturday of the month. If you want to be notified when we do Polyglots Talk, then what you can do is you can join our Discord community. There's a little exclamation mark Discord. We'll give you the link, or you can follow us on Instagram. You'll see us like put a little update. We were a little late today, but usually we put an update like the day before. So yes, but the first or second Saturday we discuss things that have to do with languages and culture and all of this different stuff. Sometimes we talk about travel. The three of us speak a few different languages, hence the whole Polyglots Talk thing. But it's really a nice place for us to interact with you guys here on YouTube, on our platform, as well as just around. We miss interacting with you, and this is a great way for us to do that. So I'm Ray, and I'm from Jamaica. I'm currently in the United States, and I speak English, Jamaican, Korean, Japanese, Mandarin, and a little Spanish. And I just started Finnish, and yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Oh, I forgot Swedish, and I speak Swedish.
I love how you know so many languages, you can just like forget one.
Yeah.
It's actually a problem. Yeah. I
Humble brag.
to
Okay.
introduce-
I am Elmo. I am Swedish. Which means I'm from Sweden, where I also live in
Yeah.
Sweden. I don't even have my mug here, so sometimes I forget. I have a mug that says Sweden on it, just so I remember. I speak Swedish, English, and Japanese fluently, and I am currently focusing on Mandarin. Yeah. Yeah.
And yep,
Anna.
it's me. I am Anna. I'm from Italy, and I'm also in Italy at the moment, so I speak Italian and a little bit of a Venetian language or dialect. And I also speak English and Japanese. I'm currently studying French and Mandarin a little bit on the side. Yep, so yep, that's us. And we also have a team of people that works with us, not on YouTube, but doing other things. And we make many interesting things. We make podcasts, we make nice contents on social media, and also on Mondays coming out our Polyglot magazine. So check it out on our website, Coffee, right, Ray?
Is it true?
Maybe you can present better than me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, it goes right into what we're gonna talk about today, because we're gonna focus on reading in your target language and finding joy in reading in your target language, tips and tricks. And that's exactly the topic of our magazine issue this December. We create a magazine once a season, and we bring you articles across different, some are very personal, some are experiences, some have to do with representing the community, and others are summaries of research and linguistics. And every issue we get better and better at presenting that for you. So yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about maybe some of the things that we put in the magazine. You don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything.
No, we don't know. We don't know. Yes.
Why don't you pre-order it and find out?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we have a pre-order active right now on our coffee page. So if you're interested, you can get a little bit of a discount and get the magazine as soon as it comes out on Monday. Okay, enough marketing. Let's go into the topic. Right. So, do you guys study? No. Do you guys read in your target language? What is your experience? I want to know in chat as well. Everybody write like your experience, what you do usually, and we're gonna share ours and then maybe discuss if you guys want to ask anything. All right. I think Elmo is the most reader of all of us, probably.
Not, and that's actually really ironic you say that, because not actually in my target languages at all, which seems kind of what's paradoxical.
Don't you read in English?
Yeah.
Though?
Yeah, but you see, I'm cheating by not counting English as a quote-unquote target language, because at this point I am pretty much native level in English, so I don't think of it as like a second language, really. It's more like a second first language.
Yeah, but there was a time.
There was a time
when it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right? There was a time. I was petrified.
Okay, you're a Swedish baby. You were not born with English. Do not claim I am the only native. Listen.
Fine. Okay, I admit it. I'm not a native English speaker, but yeah, no, it's just.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Nightbot works.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, Nightbot works. Nice. Great. Yeah. No. So I love reading. I've grown up reading, obviously, from when I was very little, and I think must have been around like 10 or 11 when I first started delving into reading in other languages. Because like up until a certain age, you're not really, well, obviously a majority of what you're either reading or being read is in your native language for obvious reasons. But then like you realize that like these authors that you're actually being exposed to, they're not even from your native country. They don't even speak the same language. And it's like, what? So following that sort of yeah, the impact of that is like, but whose books am I actually reading? Like, who is this translating person just writing fan fiction in the name of somebody else? I don't know. So using that as sort of a trampoline is like sort of, so obviously at that age I was really into like, I loved Harry Potter so much. I still love the book series itself, even though like J.K. Rowling is a TERF and deserves all the hate she gets. But we're not going to get into that now. So that was a nice sort of I think the first book I actually ever remember borrowing from the library in English was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Of course, at that point, I was so unfamiliar with the language. I could speak it okay, like my spoken English was fine, but I still had no grasp on the actual, like, sort of on how to read in English, because I mean it's constantly pointed out that English is very like a difficult language where like things aren't written the way they sound, for example. So it's always hard to sort of really gauge, especially if you're reading it by yourself and you're not really getting it sort of anything out of it really. So that's how I got into the whole reading thing. But it's also funny because obviously through the help of like obviously classes and so on throughout my school years, and sort of an increased interest in reading, and especially English in itself as a language, and maybe sort of some of the linguistic qualities that the language possesses, I just focused to reading exclusively in English for like the longest time, where I barely ever read in Swedish at the moment, unless it's for like school, like unless it's like textbooks or articles or whatever. Which probably sounds pretty pretentious, and I admit that probably is pretty pretentious, but then again I think that goes along with who I am as a person. So don't be scared. You can be just as pretentious as Elmo and not feel bad about it. So, if anything, it's an interesting quirk.
Learn from Elmo.
Yes.
Pretentiousness.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
very
Embrace it.
interesting.
how to get how to get motivated to study to read in your target language. Oh, just get so arrogant that you can no longer read in your native language.
I know, right?
Hey, it
Like,
works. What am I gonna say? It works.
Reject.
Yeah. But then, does it? Yeah.
No,
So that was about how I got into the whole, or how it's been developing. But I'm still, apart from, well, in Mandarin, I've actually been starting to read a lot. Whereas when I studied Japanese, I really didn't focus on reading at all, apart from like texting and reading social media posts from like friends or people, Japanese people that I like made contact with on like social media or language exchange apps, etc. So my literary jargon in Japanese is pretty much non-existent, I'm pretty sure, especially more advanced grammar, etc. But obviously I can text and read text, etc. like as in text messages perfectly, like adequately, but I've yet to really tackle literature in Japanese. And as for Mandarin, I'm actually going the, for me, rather like unusual route of actually like starting with reading, where it's something that I always come to at a later stage, where I've always sort of focused on like verbal communication and speaking, like from the very start. So at the moment I'm reading like, what is that? NHK, like one sort of very basic, like for learners. What is that called? Like graded readers or something like that, I think.
That's
That's
interesting
about,
though,
yeah.
because you say that you're very. Can I say sorry? You don't read in your native language, but I am comfortable only reading in my native language, and I like reading in my native language, which is Italian, more than any other language. I think it's the best language to express things, which is biased because it's my language, of course. But I feel like so many things, especially because I see English as a very useful language, or like how do you say,
like practical
and convenient language. So for me, like reading a book of literature or something, it seems like it lacks some flavor that it doesn't have. But this is obviously how do you say, influenced by the way I use the language in my life, for sure. But that's how I feel. And the same with Japanese, especially because I used to live in Japan. So for me, reading Japanese was always a matter of kind of surviving in that environment. I cannot feel that connection that I have with the language through literature or through reading books that instead I have with my native language. So every time I tried, I was always like kind of thrown off by this kind of like underlying feeling that I had. But definitely it's probably something that many people go through, and it comes and goes also with depending on how much comfortable you are with the language itself, right? So I guess that's also another thing. Before we talk about you, Ray, it's okay if we read some comments in chat?
Yeah.
So
I see some great comments going on.
Yep, just said, I read in Japanese, and I've tried reading in Spanish and Korean as well. For Japanese, I read a variety comics, novels, but in Korean, I only read webcomics, as anything else is too overwhelming. That's a good thing, honestly. Comics, basically dialogue only. Books are definitely a good way to start. I actually never read comics in Japanese, which is crazy to think about, because I started with like books. Yep, I've never read comics because I started studying at university. We didn't use comics. I don't know why.
Obviously. Because you're at university, so you're not allowed to.
I'm one of those academic learners.
That's for the plebs.
So yeah, that's interesting. Honestly, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
For Spanish, I would just read short stories that are my level of practice. But generally, I prefer to read books that are written by authors of that native language, as I like to get aspects of the culture out of it as well. Yep, that's definitely okay. We are gonna talk about this in depth later, I guess. Like reading books of people that are native in that language, right? Rather than translations. We're gonna spend some time after that. I don't know if somebody else wants to read the other comments, otherwise I only speak.
Yeah, I can jump in here with Roland's comment. He says, "Yes, I read in my target language. I view it like walking through a forest. When I exit, I find green and stems stuck to my pants and shirt." Interesting analogy there.
That's
Yeah, you have to read the second part.
Yeah.
Oh, so I occasionally stoop down to examine plants, but the more I walk, I naturally gather words. They stick to me. That's really nice. That's beautiful.
As
I like it. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna screenshot it. I'm gonna put it onto something.
Yeah, I
Put that on.
a little bit of
some
backstory
merch.
because Ronald and me, during our lessons, we were reading a book about learning language, and there were a bunch of these kind of metaphors and analogies, and I know that Ronald likes speaking like this, and it's very nice. Unfortunately, we're not having lessons together anymore, but yeah, I was like, I missed that. Yeah, I'm gonna save this.
Yeah. I think that reading, like as Ronald pointed out, that it's important for that kind of like little immersion bit, but I realized that it really depends on the language. So for example, like we just talked about English, from Swedish to English, and then we're talking about maybe English to Italian perhaps, and then there's also Spanish involved. I don't know how to explain, it is different, it is definitely different, but still the conventions of building sentences and the way that we create idioms, for example, like saying as I or how they and even just the idea of these clauses, it's easier to like read it in a language that has a similar root and then kind of pick up something natural without really knowing what's going on. But when you read something in Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, something like that, the way that they do that is so different that you're just like sitting there going, whole sentence makes no sense. It's not like you can grab the sentence with stuff around it and then identify, oh, I don't really know this, but okay, and then kind of just like keep reading and get a general vibe and ignore the stuff that you don't know. I find that is a lot more difficult with a very vastly different language from your own, because what then happens is that your brain is not used to processing that way of writing, and therefore everything is confusing. It's not comprehensible, in other words. Which is one of the reasons why I haven't really spent a lot of time reading in my target languages either, because traditionally they have been East Asian. And but I just, as many of you may know, I just did my Swedish certificate. So now I finally have a European language that is strong enough for me to read in, and I have been doing it. I read 3 books or so in Swedish. I started with translation books because translation books have less culture obviously involved, which meant that it was easier for me to rip through and get used to the feeling of reading in Swedish without having to stay slow or whatever. So that was something that I thought was good, although I definitely wanted to graduate into something written by a Swede, because that would be the pinnacle. But starting with something that was written in English first, I can even identify English idioms that have been kind of botch translated into Swedish, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that made it easier to naturally pick up words. And that's where I'm at with that. Graded readers, do Chinese. I love it. If I could marry it, I would. My favorite app. Definitely. Yeah. I love that. It really makes you think that you know a lot of stuff. when you
Yeah.
read something at your grade level, you're like,
Yep.
oh my god, I just
I
read
know.
9
I'm a
chapters
genius.
I
with
get
only
that.
10
I
words.
get that. I get that. Yes. I also I want to say this because I think we talked about this in the past, but when I started learning Swedish, I got this book that had little short stories like in the beginning, and I was literally like beginner, like I don't know what is going on kind of beginner, and I read that little text in the first chapter, the first ever, and it was like 10 lines, so I was very scared, and I was like, how the hell can I read this being a beginner? And but actually, since it's a language, that kind of like makes sense because it's not a Romance language, but I can kind of identify which one is a verb, which one is, so I could read through it and kind of understand what was going on in a way, and identify the main parts of the sentences, or like kind of guess what word would mean. And I was like mind blown, because yeah, sometimes like you don't need to know exactly every word to understand what is going on, and that's also a good thing to test and also practice as well. It's definitely interesting, even if it's very hard to exercise, because it can be stressing, and you can feel like you want to understand everything like you do in your native language. But you need to realize, I'm talking to myself as well, that your native language, you've been reading your native language since you were, I don't know, 6 years old. So how many years? 21 for me. So you have this 21 years or whatever you have of practice reading in that language. So of course you will understand every single word that you come, well, not always, but 99% of the words that you come across, right?
Yeah.
So
you like, even if you don't know a word per like dictionary definition, you still understand it through the context of where it's placed or how it's used.
Definitely, 100%. I bought a book in Spanish when I was in Florida at the airport, trying to wait for 9 hours at the airport, and I could read it because I don't know Spanish, but it's similar to Italian, and I kind of guessed what the author was trying to say, and I was like, I'm superhuman, I don't know. And it's just so nice when that happens, and you can only like get this feeling by testing out and trying and practicing, surely. Right?
Yes, for sure. And I mean, I'm starting to see that merit anyway, because definitely reading in Mandarin, even though it's super different, I've been trying to incorporate reading more into what I do, and it does help to kind of naturally give you a frame of a word without having to think too hard about it. I mean, preferably, personally, I prefer to do that with shows, but the reading, there is something about it that also pushes me past my comfort zone, which is good sometimes, because otherwise, if you're too comfortable, sometimes you don't really click with the new material in that way. Like it becomes a little bit too passive, in other words. So that has been really good for me. I think about also how I plan to now go to the next stage with those languages that I've already been speaking for so long, because I bought a bilingual book recently. It's right here, called Chinatown, but it's deceiving because it's Korean, and it's called Chinatown because it's about Chinatown in Korea, Incheon, which is where the airport is. If you didn't know, it's big Chinatown in Seoul, and I guess it's about like a post-war, I guess like gangisms, at that time in Chinatown. And so each page, like one side is Korean and one side is English, like this. It's crazy because I looked at one page and I'm like, Is that really? Is that really? Because the English looks really simple and the Korean looks very not simple. Which it just shows a lot about what you're missing in translations and stuff too, like what Elmo was talking about. You miss a lot in translations. You miss a
Yeah,
lot.
no, you do.
You miss a lot. And I want to get into it, but definitely I'm gonna have to take some of the tips, because I did write an article about a lot of different things you can do to improve your reading. Most of it though is from academic papers and not necessarily stuff that I do myself, because I tend to avoid reading. So so definitely this is gonna be a glow up period for me. Yes, Emma.
No, at least you have the power of empirical evidence on your side, even though it's not something
exactly. Exactly.
I would say that speaking about translated books, honestly, I want to try something in the future, which I think would be very good, because I read some translated books in Italian in the past, and so like I've been reading a lot of Murakami in Italian, for example.
Yes.
And it would be cool, in my opinion, to like pick one book that I like the most and get it in Japanese and read it again as I would in my native language, but in the other language. So actually it's in the native language this time. But I know the story. I know I'm gonna like it because I know that I like the story. And it's gonna be easier to go through it without a vocabulary. A dictionary next to me all the time in that way. So I think that's something that I want to do for next year. It's one of my goals. I already started thinking about.
That's
so
amazing.
I think that's also probably a good thing, at least to stay motivated if you struggle with that.
And the best thing is that it doesn't even only apply to reading specifically. It can be whatever it is. If it's a TV show, for example, that you've watched 100 times with subtitles, or a movie that you watched since you were a little kid, and you find a dub in your target language or something, where you already know the source material, you know the plot so well that you basically don't have to like think about it. Like you know exactly what's going to happen, so you can only focus on the output and input of the language itself. So that's actually a wonderful trick, and I really want to do that too. And I'm so annoyed, especially because I love Murakami's books as well. I really want to read him in Japanese.
I know.
But, so I
get it.
I went to the big library in the town, in the bigger city next to where I live, and they only have, because in Japanese, Norwegian Wood, Norway no Mori, is split into two parts, which I think is fairly common for Japanese novels in general. But they only have the second half of the book.
All right.
Yes!
No. Well, at least you have some Japanese book. My library doesn't have anything like that, but I get so annoyed the way that I said yes. It's because I get so annoyed when I'm reading a book in Italian and I see that they're trying to translate something that is hard to translate, but I don't know what the original is, and I want to know what the original was, because I understand it's not translatable. I understand the translator struggled, but I don't know what the original is, so I don't understand.
The strangest part about that for me, when we're talking about Murakami, is that the English is so good for me. Like the trend, I would like, honestly, I feel like I'm being like damasareteru, you know, that it was actually originally written in English and it's not like Japanese. So I'm reading like a section, and it's just so good, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell could this be in Japanese? What the hell could this be? I can't even imagine this being in Japanese, which means that the original is probably very different. That instead of direct translating, you know, the author of the translation is actually just a freaking good author too, and like did the work of translating the culture as well. So I'm so curious.
Yes. So if you feel this, buy the original and read the original as well. Maybe like keep it them together, you know, like
yes. Also, Anna, did you see that Tim
Timothy is
you,
writing in Italian. Yes, Timothy is saying that they like very much that I use my hands even if I'm speaking in English. And he's saying
I
that
think we all
using
use our hands quite a lot. when we
yeah,
speak, right?
probably I use them more, or I'm trying not to, but and so they're saying that gestures have a big potential, and it's a shame that people that speak in English don't use them as much. I agree. I agree, but
I agree. I agree.
I mean, yeah, I feel that like they are very useful. The only problem is that people don't understand. So sometimes I try so hard to say things, and it's just so much easier with my hands than with my words.
I feel like I orchestrate my life. Like I don't have. You see, Italy has a lot of like actual specific gestures that have meaning. I don't have any of those because I'm a native English speaker, but I just can't speak without my hands because I feel frustrated if I don't use my hands while I'm talking. Like the whole energy does not come out in the way it's supposed to come out.
Yep.
And so I feel like I am the orchestra. It's like a, what do you call him? Anyway, the guy at the front of the orchestra. Yeah, the conductor, thank you. I feel like the conductor of my life.
I get it.
So I'm like, yes, will you see how it should go?
Yes. Yeah. By the way, we have a video about Italian gestures. I'm trying to find it on our channel right now, so I will send it in chat.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so you can learn the Italian gestures. Oh my goodness.
I agree.
Do it. Today, learn some Italian gestures, so Italian people will be happy to speak with you. I mean,
yes. Italian gestures are cool. I mean, you could start teaching them. You know, it's like things like stuff that I take from other languages and I kind of like incorporate them into my own personal dialects. And I mean, obviously, no one understands them on a larger scale, but I teach the people in my small community to just learn it so that they can better and more authentically interact with me, you know. So lots of like little Jamaican words or little Japanese words or little Chinese grammar bits. I tend to kind of start to slowly educate the masses that are surrounding me so that I can exist more authentically.
I get that. Oh, you said a very beautiful thing. So I can exist more authentically. I still remember how my Japanese teacher would say, when you do a Japanese exam, you need to put your hands like this under your thighs, so you don't use your hands, because Japanese people don't use their hands. So when you speak Japanese, don't use your hands. And I'm like, I will use my hands so much I want, even if I'm speaking Japanese. Like Ray, you said a beautiful thing. So I can exist more authentically, and you know, more in a way that is more honest to who I am and who I want to be. Right? It's a very beautiful thing. I like it.
Yeah, you know, a mixed identity is a valid one, and that's kind of the idea of being a polyglot. It's not actually like, oh, I can code switch spy in several different countries. You know, I'm a spy. You would never know that I'm from Italy.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Jamaica or whatever. No, that's not what it's about.
Yeah. That's the best feeling in the world. When people don't understand where you're from, you're like, yes, I succeeded. I succeeded.
Yeah. I'm an international super spy.
Yes. Let's see. Wait, Jess says it would be interesting to do an experiment and have someone do a talk using their hands and then do it again with their hands tied up and see whether listeners end up hearing the message differently. Well, if they're Italian, for sure, 100%. Because if I say, what do you want? Or if I say, what do you want? In one way, I'm not being aggressive, but when I do this, I'm being aggressive. So it changes 100%. The message is different, even if your voice tone doesn't change. So for sure, yeah. I mean,
I was.
Yeah, I wonder if you do that to not Italian people, how it would go. Like, because you know how people be like, "Hey, mamma mia, pizza." And this doesn't make any sense in Italian. So I feel like I would like to do that kind of experiment with American people or somebody that is not too familiar with
That's not
European
really-
gestures, you know. It would be very interesting. Just,
Yes.
do you want to come over and do an experiment with me? To like for gestures, we will see. Maybe we meet. Maybe I would do it with Cody. We go to Venice next week, no?
Oh yeah.
We could do it with
Oh,
Cody.
that's right. That's next week. Please film something. You know, actually, I would say that when it comes to those expressions as well, that I use my hands to substitute for vocabulary that I don't know all the time.
Yeah.
And so this happened just the other day when I went to a Japanese language meetup, and I don't remember what I was talking about, but I used my hands instead of a word. I just made some sounds and then I used my hands. Or I was like, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, I do these things and people exactly understand me and they go, how did I understand that? Because people don't usually think about how well, because it's the same idea as why when you're learning a new language, or even if you know a language quite well, speaking on the phone will always be more difficult than speaking with someone's face in front of you, because these things very much do help. If you're talking to someone that you've never met before, and their language skill is a little bit lower than yours, immediately say just like this, and their language skill is a little lower than yours. You know, it's these things that you do when you speak immediately help the person to process more, because they have more to go on. Their brain has more to go on. And it helps me stay on track as well as the person listening to me. So it's good because my brain will also run away.
It's true. No, it's true, definitely. And that's why as well, I feel like, going back to the topic of reading, that's also why it's harder to read a book instead of like watching a TV show or something, because when reading a book, you're only relying on words written on paper, or if it's an audiobook, like listening to words, of course. But all that gesture part, like the expressions of the face or like the hands, you don't have that, right? So that's why it's harder, definitely. But it's definitely interesting, honestly, because I feel like, as we said, not like when you're in life, not all the time you will be able to see the other person in front of you if you're calling them, for example. So it's definitely interesting to be able to do all of these things, right? Oh, hi Tanya, by the way. Sorry, I just saw. Let's read some comments, maybe. Ryan says the only English speakers, blah blah blah. The only English speakers I know that use hand gestures while talking are the Cubans, Hispanics in Miami. I see. I feel like
this is Ryan, my cousin, by the way.
Oh wait, hi, hey Ryan, my man. Hello. Hello. Yo, I feel like maybe Italian American people use gestures as well. I'm not sure in America, but in Europe, I think pretty
I'm sure
much.
they do.
In Europe, I think everybody has their kind of gestures, anyways. I feel, probably, not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do Swedes have gestures?
Do we have gestures? I feel, Ray, as an outsider who has spent time in Sweden, around Swedish people, no, right?
I guess
No,
the northern
right?
you go, the less people just do gestures, maybe.
We were
If
talking about...
if you do lots of gestures with your hand, you're leaving yourself open to attacks from enemies that will stab you.
Well, in the south as well. Yeah,
we
no.
were actually talking. We were actually talking about something not exactly the same, but something similar, which is like cultural trends to keep your body restricted in places that have a high regard for certain class standards. So like the classier you are is the more you restrict yourself. So if you use your body and you look very emotional, then you are low class. And if you don't use your body and you sit up really straight and you're very quiet, then you're somehow very classy. And so this is like an overall dichotomy that is placed in a lot of different spheres, but in more Latin, at least this is a an observation that's, I don't have any research behind me to say, but in more Latin-based cultures and more outward, like more extroverted cultures, then the standard is a bit different. But you will notice that people from like northern areas or that don't have that kind of idea, they actually think it looks weird to utilize their body. They feel embarrassed if they dance, if they utilize their hands, if they are a little bit loud. They get very embarrassed. So I think it has to do with this kind of a little bit of a sorry, the camera was not looking at me. Hello. little bit of a class struggle a bit. And so because in Jamaica we use our hands a lot. Again, we don't have specific well, we'd have some gestures but not many. And majority, but still the whole body, like if I'm talking, it's like what, and then and something comes up and then a bit, you know, like your whole body is moving as you are speaking. Yeah. And so I think it has something to do with this.
Yeah, sure. It's yes, Timothy was saying, Ray, your hand express your energy well. You would be a good conductor. It's true. You use your hands more than me at this point. I got traumatized by my Japanese teacher. So.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no.
No, I know. Sad. I know. Well, if I'm angry or if I feel strong emotions, I cannot stop myself. But I also, as a teacher, I noticed that sometimes people feel like very startled if I start moving my hands a lot, so I tend to keep them down other than if I actually have to explain something with my hands. But yeah. Let's see. Yes, just let's do the gesture challenge. I did the gesture challenge before with my ex-boyfriend that was Japanese. It was very interesting. Tanya, yes, we are here today. How are you doing? Also, Kyber, hello. Kyber, do English UK people have gestures? Please tell. Timothy, actually it's a branch of science, analysis of speech to determine the linguistic life history of the speaker. I can imagine a similar experiment with hand gestures. Yeah, sure, definitely. That's interesting.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Okay, let's do an experiment right now. You two, and also chat. If I do this, do you understand what I'm saying?
It could be two things.
Yes, tell me, please.
Either get over here,
No.
or it's hot.
Neither, I'm sorry. Wrong answer. It's alright, but I understand
exactly
why
what
you
I
say
thought,
that.
so.
I understand.
Those were my two guesses also.
See?
Yes, Italian gesture language is not universal.
Yeah, that's interesting because
but where does that come from? Because we have the same two guesses. So why do we have the same assumptions?
I think English does have some universal. Like for example, this, which looks a little bit like this, right? So, but it's because you have it up here.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean come here. This one means in the past or yesterday or last week or something like that.
Okay.
Because you put it
Because
behind.
it's behind you.
Yeah, you put it behind.
Oh.
Yesterday. No, yesterday I went like this. Yeah, you can do, but this is more like the place back there, right? But this is for time.
That works also.
Oh.
It's hot or you're crazy. Tanya, it's not that every Italian gesture means you're crazy. Even if we have a lot to say. I think, yes, no, it means in the past. In the past. Yeah.
Wow.
In the past, yeah. Kyber speaking about cups of tea. I guess that's like you when you're in. I don't have a cup of tea. Can you believe this?
Yeah, I have a cup of tea. So,
Yes,
so
so
when
you
you
need
talk, do you just flip it, you throw it at people, or
Yeah.
How
Wait, is this
how
Thomas?
animated you get?
Thomas. Is this the Thomas I know? Or is
I think so.
Oh, fuck.
Is it actually? Oh my goodness gracious! The man, the legend.
Who else would name themselves? Who else would name themselves Suomatsu? Who else?
Oh my goodness! Hello, ni hao. I hope it's him
Yeah.
because yeah.
你好.
Yo, hello.
你好.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we were talking about reading. We're a little bit off topic, by the way. So yes, everybody who just joined, tell us, do you read books in your target language? What do you do?
Do you read?
Or do you just don't do
Are you
it?
a big reader, bro?
Yep. Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Tanya, you have a similar gesture meaning you're crazy. Is it like this, maybe? No, you don't know me. Okay, I don't. We don't know. We don't
Alright,
know. Oh, hello.
Okay.
Yes.
This, right?
Yeah.
So we have that's
Yeah.
or just one hand.
Yeah.
This is to be crazy.
That's definitely read. Yeah. Right?
We do circles.
So even if actually we use it quite often, I think. So you could be talking about someone, like maybe you're in a room with someone and you're on the phone on speaker with your mom and she's saying something crazy. So you look at your friend like
Yeah.
And I think I do that quite often.
I can see this happening.
I used to do it a lot when I was like a kid, but then I was told not to do it because it's offensive. So
yeah, I guess. But when it's about my parents, I'm okay with it.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's about your parents, I'm also okay with it.
That's rude, Rasmus.
Here's another one. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, but it depends also who the friend is, I would say, probably.
Yes, no, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, gestures are hard to describe. Correct, Tanya.
Correct.
True. So I plan on starting to read more in my target language this year.
We love that.
Brendan, hi. We love it. So one of the things, and do pre-order the magazine. You'll get some tips to start you off this year on the right track with your reading journey.
Yep.
We also have bilingual poetry.
Yeah, there's gonna be bilingual poetry. I'm excited for that. I actually haven't read the poems yet. I'm waiting for the magazine to drop properly, and then I will read the bilingual poems.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm also thinking about trying to break into the reading. Like I said, I bought this. And you notice how skinny it is, guys? It's difficult, but I made sure to not buy anything that would intimidate me. Okay, nothing even slightly intimidating looking. It's a very tiny book, and it's only, let's see how many pages. It's about 125 pages, and it's dual language, which means it's very, very short.
Yep.
But I tried to do some reading this year in 2021 where I in Korean, where they had this book that had one story for each one. I realized that in the beginning it's much easier for me to read non-fiction than it is for me to read fiction, because there's so much more art involved in it. But what I also want to do is maybe follow some like book reviewers or things like that and read short blurbs of stuff. So just like trying to find a little bit more unique resources to help me to get into the habit of reading and enjoying. I follow my friend Clicky. Reads so much that it's insane. And I'm trying to get that to rub off on me,
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Olga, hi, how's your Swedish going? Hey, ja, det går bra. Jag pratar inte så mycket nu för att jag är inte i Sverige och jag har inte så mycket svenska vänner, honestly.
Same though.
Ja, och Elmo pratar inte med mig när vi pratar. Vi alltid pratar på engelska, och varje gång jag säger kan du inte prata på engelska, det är ett jävla waste of time. Kan vi snälla göra någonting som makes sense?
Jävla fitta, sorry.
Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Raise hand symbol for the telephone means 6 in Chinese. Yes.
That's also in Italian, by the way. Call me. Don't
really?
actually.
This one. Yeah, it's so funny. This feels so old to me now.
Yeah,
this,
no, right?
this signal. I feel like I don't do it anymore.
What, are you from like the 1980s? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 90s, we still had the phone with the little.
no, I know.
You know, you young bitches.
I know.
Let's see.
I'm only 3 years younger than you. Thank you very much.
Well, do you remember the 90s? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not
Do
gonna
you
start.
remember? Okay.
Do you remember Tamagotchi?
Oh my
Yes, I
God,
do.
Yes, yes we do.
Oh my goodness. Well,
yeah, I'm the proud owner of a German-Japanese bilingual poem book.
Oh wow.
I love that.
That's
I love that. I
That
have
sounds amazing.
this short stories in Japanese. Actually, I should wait. Where am I? Here. Parallel text. So this
Other
one is
camera.
in English, and yeah, it's another camera. Sorry, English and Japanese.
Oh no, I was looking at.
I would show you guys as
I was
well.
not looking
Here it
at
is.
Yeah.
So this one is cool
Oh.
as well. I love bilingual books. Please, every day. Thank you very much.
Yes, I honestly love people who take the time to make bilingual books. It's so nice. Yes, wait, let me see. Olga said to me, har du klarat hissus?
What does that
Nej,
mean?
för att jag tog en kurs på Lunds universitet som gäller samma content som Tissus, så jag behöver inte ta Tissus äntligen, för att jag har nu fick mig C1-certifikat på Lunds universitet som det betyder att jag har samma nivån som gymnasium. Gymnasium? Ja. Så jag behöver inte ta Tissus. Det är typ samma certifikat. Yeah. But in essence, yes, because I still had to take that test and it sucked.
So is that
everyone
a
privy to-
thesis for university? Did I understand correctly?
No, TISIS is like the JLPT for Swedish. It's like the standardized
that's what it's
Swedish
called.
test.
Yeah, but it's not like JLPT because there's no levels. There's only one. So you have to study by like everything, and then you either passed C1, C2, or you fail.
Oh.
It sucks.
Yes.
Well, you passed, so
Yeah,
there
right.
you are.
Ah, Ray, you're a genius. You passed. Good job.
Cry. Cry. Jess, I love Chinese hand symbols for numbers. Yes, I love them too.
I remember
I
this
love them.
6. I remember this is 10, probably. But I don't remember anything
Yeah.
else.
I don't know all of them. I mean, obviously the beginning ones are easy. It's like 1, 2, 3, you know. But then it's after 5, it's like 6, 7, I think. Ba. This is definitely ba.
Yeah.
8. Yeah. 9, sure, I think.
Well, okay. Maybe it depends also on the place the people come from. Cause,
Yeah,
I
I'm not
think-
sure. I don't remember. I think that was it.
I see. I've never heard what Swedish sounds like before. It's so cool hearing the sound of a new language. It definitely is. Honestly, I used to listen to Swedish podcasts, right? And it's just like, you can vibe to it. I didn't understand like 90% of what they were saying, but like you vibe and you're like, oh yes, pretending that you're
But I mean,
ah.
Swedish is like 40% English at this point, especially if you listen to
I
like
mean-
podcasts or young people.
Yeah, that's
Like,
very
Swedish is,
funny
like,
40%
because
English.
they would start speaking like randomly in English, and I would be like, that's the 10% that I understand. By the way, just saying.
Well, I really love Swedish pronunciation. It comes out in a lot of different things. And for example, I love it when people have really thick ass Swedish accents in English. I am obsessed. You know, it is really great when you get into it. You know, so
Roast.
A trend that I've actually noticed is the fact that like Where I live now in Skåne, people have very thick accents, like in Swedish. But most Skåne people have extremely neutral accents when they speak English.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That
I've
is
never like thought about that before. Where I feel like more like Stockholm-ish
They're
sort of
elite.
standard people have more of a like Swedish accent when they speak English.
I've never thought about that. That is very interesting. I'm gonna pay attention next time. That is very interesting.
Is it maybe because it's also close to Denmark, so people are used to like get people from other countries so they speak English? Maybe.
I mean, possible.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I think Danes have pretty strong accent too, though.
Yeah,
think in
they
English, right?
do.
Yeah, because Danes.
Where is the
Danish
study bunny?
pronunciation is very. Oh.
I've never heard. No, she's not here. But I've never talked with the study bunny, which is Danish, by the way.
Oh yeah, me too. I've never actually.
It would be
talked to her,
interesting
only
to
through
know.
text.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we have to find out.
Let's.
Olga says, "I love Skåne and Skånska." Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. Actually, I didn't like it at first, but it's grown on me. I do like it now. It's kind of cute. There are some times when it's very, very strong, like very, very strong. Say somebody who is, older, and then it's a bit abrasive. But as far as like the sound overall, like like the overall accent and how it's progressed, I like it.
There's apparently a whole like hierarchy within Skånska where like depending on where you're from, you're speaking like some Skåne like some varieties of the dialect are considered like really like what is that, like country bumpkin, like you're from the middle of nowhere or whatever, whereas Lund is like the like extremely like high class upper
class Skåne.
yeah no
Okay.
it's basically
Sure.
Stockholm. It's basically Stockholm but like Skåne.
Classism is so weird.
Yeah, classism is
Why
weird. Like
do
you
do that?
speak the
It's
same.
You live right over there, but
Yeah,
you know, his accent. I don't like him.
I mean, Ray, though, you were like that when we were speaking about Jamaican. Like, there's the difference between the Kingston.
Yeah, but I
Jamaica.
don't dislike them.
No, I get it. But I remember it was
Swedes
funny
are
too.
very mean. Swedes are mean when it comes to these things. When we were leaving to go to Skåne to move from, because Rasmus is from the north of Sweden, so their whole family was like, "Don't come back talking like that."
That's interesting. I mean, I feel that could happen in Italy as well, like something like that, like because accents are like.
Whenever I am on the phone with like my mom or something, I have to be really careful to not like slip into it. No, because since it's around you so much and you hear it like every day, you like it sort of you get used to it, and so you sort of adapt to it in a way. Obviously, I don't speak fluent Skånska because I'm not from here and I don't know enough. Like I don't have enough like contact with it to like learn it, and it's not really something I'm aiming to do. But like if you imitate the people who are around you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Makes
that
perfect
happens.
sense. So it's like, yeah, so I have to be really careful about that.
Interesting.
Not that they would actually care, but like they would probably just make fun of me.
Yeah, no, I get that so much. Yeah. Because I would make fun of myself if I did that, like, so if I started speaking, no, it happened before that I went to the south of Italy for 2 weeks and I started speaking in a southern accent, and like I was literally like, I cannot even remember how I used to speak, what is going on, and like and I would make fun of myself, so I understand the feeling very much. It's like it's so weird.
That's me whenever I start to sound American. So like and it happens very quickly. I could just be talking with someone American and then immediately the accent switches, or like we could be talking about America. I don't remember what I said recently, like earlier this week I was talking to my friend and I said something that sounded so American. I wanted to just eat myself. I was like
Oh my god.
Goodbye.
Yes. I started like using some American expressions sarcastically, like "yo, what's good?" because I think it's hilarious. But it's dangerous because I feel I will start saying that not ironically anymore. But yeah, it's very
I mean, but there are some accents in the US that I really like, and there is some accented stuff that I really don't like. There's obviously so many ranges of things, but there's just some ways that we mash the word. It's not even the phrases. I like American slang a lot. I use a lot of it. But there's just certain tones to words that you use that just sound so
Yeah.
I can't even hear the airport voice without like cringing.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Welcome to Broward County.
Yeah. No, I get that so much.
So some of them
I
are
get
so
that.
nasal. Oh, but then there's the one that's around like, what is that? I think it's like close to sort of Colorado-ish area where like they pronounce milk as milk,
Milk.
and it's like, yeah, milk, and I'm like, did
Yep.
you just say milk?
Yeah, no, I get that so much because in general, American English is kind of cringy to me, especially when they pronounce my name. I've been speaking about this before, but
that's
when I
rough.
hear people pronouncing my name as Anna like that, I cannot anymore. I cannot. It makes me cringe so much. It's just the accent. I don't vibe with it, but like nothing wrong with it at all. We're not hating, but it's just I like
I mean,
the
it's
British
your name.
but more.
No, it's just it's the spectrum and how you sound, and there's also like how other people affect. For example, I started to appreciate Southern accent in different spaces so much more recently. But it's just that like, especially when things rub off on you and it's like something that you necessarily, it's a tone that's very foreign to you, and then you hear it come out of your own mouth and you're like
Yeah.
I've been poisoned.
Exactly. It's funny. Jazz just said, that's interesting. My friends and family from the US are always like, have you picked up a British accent yet? And I must say that that's because we idolize British accents. There's always a thing. There's always a thing. Because there's like a tone, because there's definitely gonna be one accent that people think sounds really nice. Or even the fact, like, for example, I speak lots of languages, but my family is always asking me when I'm going to learn French. You learn French yet? French done yet? Always asking me about French because they like the way it sounds, so they're waiting for me to speak French.
And just learning by yourself. What the frick? Not like. Oh my goodness, I didn't know about that. Interesting.
Oh my god.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, but I think also like, I think Jazz has a little bit of a British accent sometimes, or you use some British words sometimes, which is very cute in my opinion, because you still have, like, I can tell you're American 100%, but you use some words, some other words you don't use the British version. You know, like the word quiet means like two different things if you're American or British. So it means very in American, but it means a little bit in UK. And I noticed you use it in the American way. So there are some things, some little things. But I mean, you know.
Jess, wait, I think Jess, didn't you complain the other day about spelling things the British way by mistake? Somewhere in Discord.
Oh yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah. I try my best to be conscious of how I say your name. I mean, I don't. It's it depends. It depends, but I don't cringe like in how to say all the time. Sometimes I'm almost just like American. I don't know. It's not even a feeling. It's just like I recognize the accent, but or it makes me laugh. Sometimes it's so American that it's cute. But
there's times when I love it and there's times when I hate it. It depends. It really depends. And
it depends on
like
the person.
Coming out of my mouth.
I mean, Jess, it would be very hard to hate what comes out from your mouth, and it like doesn't matter the accent, so because you're a nice person.
Like
for example, I like West Coast accents. Minus Valley Girl, that doesn't count. But like, there's a lot of West Coast accents that I do like. The Jewish New Yorker accent is hilarious. I absolutely love it. It's like my favorite. It's so funny. in a good way, you know. Then there's also like the Miami Spanish accent. I also think it's really funny, and really like lively, you know, makes you want to, I don't know, kind of like the Jamaican accent. It's similar. It just kind of gives you a vibe every time you hear it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You vibe full into it. It's like my grandmother. She cannot say Google properly because of her Jamaican accent, and that is, I love it. You know, she calls him Goodle, and so, hey Goodle.
So cute.
Sorry guys. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me, Kai, by the way, sorry, because American, but any accent I hear, I'm like, that accent or something. I'm like, ooh. When I hear that, I'm like, ooh, and I recognize where it's from, especially. It's very interesting. I do it with my students as well sometimes, because I have a lot of German students, and sometimes they have this thick German accent. I'm like, German. It's so cute.
Yeah. Everybody knows that when I tell other people stories about you, I use your accent to tell the story. I usually do this.
Yes.
I can't.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that very much.
International accent appreciation.
Yes. No, it's appreciation. At the end of the day, it's just very nice, and it's nice to like have something that kind of tells where you're from in a way like that. It's just like, and it's something about you that is so different from anybody else. Even other Italian people don't have the same accent that I have in other languages, and it's something that is so personal, and you know, it distinguishes you from other people and makes your friends even more special, and it's very nice. So I actually, you know, because I call people a lot now on Discord, etc., I started recognizing people not by their voice, because sometimes microphones are not very good, but from their accents, which is very cool in my opinion. So you listen to the accent, you're like, which one of my friends is it this time? When people join calls or anything like that, and you just don't see who it is. But yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Okay, we started talking about something completely different, because that's what we do here on Polyglots Talk. Yeah. We talk about whatever we want, because it's our show. And not yours. No, sorry, that's I'm quoting another show on YouTube, by the way. I didn't just came up with that. So yes, I don't know, guys, it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. I don't know if you want to wrap this up soon.
Yes, let's just leave with some parting words about. I'll give a little summary of what we talked about today. We did go out, but you know, I also promised when I tweeted it out that come for reading and other language related awesomeness, because that's kind of how it works, you know. In a live stream, you have to let things happen organically. But we did talk a lot.
We don't script Polytalk. Should we let people know that we don't script these? Should we
mean,
let them know that?
Be careful. You know? Be careful to say these things in live streams, because people are gonna come for you.
So let's talk a little bit about what we said today. So first, we started talking about how many languages you learn at a time. What our opinion about that is. By the way, we have one other Polyglot Talk, I believe, where we talked a lot about this. Maybe Anna, you can link that one.
I forgot which one it is. Oh,
well, yeah, I think it was something about like learning multiple languages. I'm pretty sure this was a topic once. Maybe in April. Okay. Anyway, yes, so that's, and then we also talked about how that then translates to reading, and how to tap into the multi-potentiality of reading as a method to help you to improve your languages, both like a bit passively. So once you build a reading habit, you're able to passively increase your understanding and your vocabulary size without having to do a lot of the brute forced memorization techniques. So having a once you can get past the hurdle of getting into reading and you can build a proper habit, it has so many benefits for your language learning, as well as it really immerses you in the culture. So if you want to if you want to learn more about the culture and also the culture within the language, which is very important, you can read books that are written originally in that language, maybe shorter stories, maybe poems, whatever. And then if you are just getting into it and you don't want to interact with that yet, but you want to start easing yourself into the language experience of reading in your target language, then you can read something that is translated so that you can focus on the language and try to read more extensively without the barrier of a lot of idiom and new cultural framework references that you've never experienced before. We went on to talk about different ways that you can interact, how we interacted with it, how we got into it, how to stay motivated with it. So again, this whole polyglot talk will be here and saved on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and listen to it again, or catch the parts that you missed, or share with a friend, then you can do so after we end. If you want to start your language journey off right in 2022, oh my god, then subscribe to the Polyglot magazine. Subscribe. We have both the pre-order for this issue that is dropping on Monday about the joy of reading, with SLA, Second Language Acquisition Linguistics, suggestions for how you can improve your reading skill. But why stop there? Get a year's subscription for only $20 so that you can stay connected with the community, read what's going on, get inspired by wins and experiences in the community, as well as learn about what's going on in the greater sphere in terms of language and language acquisition. So all of that is linked in the description of this video, as well as somewhere in the comments. And yes, if you're looking for us, you'll find us everywhere. Trust me. Instagram, podcast, Twitter, blog, Twitch, Discord, anywhere that you want to find us, we're there. So yeah, until next time, which will be, we do Polyglot Talks every Saturday, once a month. Every first or second Saturday of the month, we pick a topic. So if you want to also suggest a topic,
do it.
You know where to find us.
Yep. All right. So that's it for today, people. Thank you very much for everybody that passed and say hello or wrote something in chat. Thank you very much. Your input is appreciated. And especially Jazz, who was here from the beginning, the very first that we went live. Thank you very much for your company and your nice words and interesting inputs. And also Korea that I saw, I just want to say hello, writing very interesting things.
Yes.
I tried to ignore it, but no, we love you, Korea. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And yes, so we're going, so the holiday season is gonna be a little bit more hectic, like a lot of things are happening, but stay tuned in our socials for everything that is going on. And let me just say that if you want to like chill out, I'm still doing study streams during the week, so also check out Twitch for that. Twitch study co-working streams, and also happy streams on Saturday nights, community games and stuff. It's today. Just saying. So yeah, if you want to chill out and be more part of the community, that's a place as well. And yes, that's it. I hope everybody have a nice day, people in chat, and also you two guys next to me. How do I point at you? I'm not sure. But like this. Here, you two. Yes. And see you next time, babies. Bye. Have a good time zone. Bye.